This is the Isle of Wight, soon to be my outdoor playground, as I go in search of health and happiness in Britain's great outdoors. Unlike the East, the West has more practical approach to wellness, with the less emphasis on spiritual well-being and more on physical prowess. I want to find out if it's possible to satisfy both, on a boot camp with a difference. Before I set sail for the Isle of Wight, I'm off to meet Tara Wood, founder of the evolutionary fitness course that I'm about to undertake. Tara is passionate about exercising in our natural environment and believes that emotional and physical well-being can be found through a deep connection to nature.
Is there a scientific reason why exercising outdoors makes us feel so much better than indoors?
There's loads of science behind why being outdoors is good for our well-being, and actually biophilia is a term that's been coined to talk about our innate need and love of nature. Living in a natural way, moving in a natural way, eating in a natural way has a massive effect on your emotions, on your mentality, on your spirituality.
What advice would you give me to get the most out of my wild fitness course?
I think one of the key things is to be present and aware when you're doing your sessions. A lot of what you're going to be doing is learning skills, so learning natural skills like throwing, balancing, jumping, obviously running, walking, swimming, all the different natural human patterns. The whole point is to be engaged in it, to feel the skill that you're learning and to enjoy it. And that's part of the transformation.
So in a way, whether you are practicing yoga or Tai Chi, or, as you say, natural exercise, it's like a kind of meditation.
Exactly, it is just like a meditation. If you are doing something that you're engaged in and you're thinking about it and you're aware when you're doing it, which is what we absolutely talk about, then it's no different from Tai Chi or yoga. It is a meditation, and that is something that people get and understand that has been missing from fitness, and that's almost the highest sort of goal of what we want people to get out of the course.
Well, I like Tara's theory, and I look forward to testing it out for myself. As well as getting fit and losing a few pounds, can I find myself in nature? Or can I lose myself in nature? And what's the difference? I'll find out tomorrow.
And so to the Isle of Wight off England's south coast. At its shortest distance, it's only 1.4 miles from the mainland, but I'm told the island still has its own strong identity. To be considered a local, or Corkhead, you must have 3 generations island heritage on both sides. Anyone else is an overner, roughly translated as over there. That's me.
Well, this is going to be a challenging week, and I am a little bit daunted, if truth be told. But I'm looking forward to embracing the great outdoors and to getting to know the Isle of Wight a little bit better. I do genuinely believe that as life becomes more and more technology focused, we need to counter that with something simple and natural. And for many of us, the great outdoors is the answer. And in the UK, that means taking everything that the British weather will throw at you, even in the middle of summer.
Well, the weather doesn't seem to be a problem for most people out here today. In fact, the Solent with its changing tides and winds is an outdoor playground for sailors. I can't wait to start my Wealth Fitness course and turn the Isle of Wight into my own personal outdoor playground. The Isle of Wight is the largest of Britain's islands, with over 50% of it designated as an area of outstanding natural beauty. I am ashamed to say that despite being virtually on my doorstep, I've never been here before, and so I look forward to getting to know it as I wild run and wild move my way through it. The course may be wild, but the accommodation certainly isn't. And as for the group, well, we're a bunch of city dwellers, I guess, looking for a more holistic and ultimately more rewarding alternative to the treadmill. We may be a little jaded from our early start, but that doesn't wash well with the trainers, who are ready and raring to teach us the secrets of moving wild in these rather less wild grounds. And so, with suitable clothing, bare feet, and an open mind, we begin.
So our approach to fitness, if I was to break it down, we have a sort of three-pronged approach, and we look at species-appropriate movement. What does a human being do? You pop out of the womb, and you don't go through 30 million years of human evolution in your lifetime. So you actually come out, you're pretty complete. That's all happened for you. So logically, your body is adapted to a certain environment which should challenge you, and you benefit from being in that environment. It's a little bit like when you take a wild animal, you put it in the zoo, it tends to suffer. It starts getting health problems, psychological problems. You could say it suffers mentally, spiritually, and physically. Here at Wild Fitness, we're going to use nature as our filter. It lasted 30 million years. Let's have a look at the state of evolution we're in now and how that can help us now, and then how we can move forwards and realise our own individual potential and hopefully our potential as a species.
Go all the way up to the hill. One big all the way over the top. All right, lift your legs. So we're going to go continuously for 15 minutes. I want you to do as many loops as you can.
Bored of my routine in London. I'm sick of the gym, and I want to rediscover new way of exercising.
Go, 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 go!
It feels very natural. It feels like play. I actually feel a bit younger. Feels like sort of childlike.
All right, guys, 3 minutes to go. Final round. Let's push it.
It's got wild. It's going back to nature. It's trying to be natural. It's trying to go back to kind of ground yourself. And I think for me, living in the city and working in the city, we don't get that chance to really feel grounded in life.
So this is animal circuits?
Yep.
Wild animal circuits?
Sort of. Call it the animal circuit, because all we do is get people moving in different locomotive capacities, I guess is the way to explain it. And we've just nicknamed each movement after a kind of animal. So, for example, there's a bear crawl, a duck walk, a bunny hop, a chimp gallop, you know, this kind of thing. So, yeah, that's why it's called the animal circuit. It's getting everybody moving on all fours. And the idea is it's just if human beings, we don't just walk, we climb, we walk on all fours and things like that. A lot of our mobility and our health is based around doing certain movements. Our body expects them. In evolution, we do them. In a lot of parts in the world, they still do them.
Well, it's been a brilliant morning. A complete lack of fitness jargon, which is incredibly refreshing. No talk of losing weight, no talk of achieving your goals, but lots of talk about being playful, being imaginative, and, as the boys say, using nature as your filter. Another very important aspect of wild living is rest and recuperation. And I'm going to flaunt that advice now, because while the rest of my group put their feet up, have some downtime, I'm going to connect with my inner child and enjoy a spot of tree climbing.
I'm off to meet Paul, something rather, an arbanist country climber, in his favorite oak tree. After years of cutting down trees for a living, Paul decided that he'd rather climb them than fell them, and so Good Leaf Climbing School was born. Tree climbing on the scale is a recognized international sport, and Paul is joined by Jo Hedger, female world champion tree climber.
You're obviously very passionate about trees.
I love trees. I love how they contribute to the environment. They're the unsung heroes of this world, I think.
It looks kind of balletic up there, actually.
It is. It's wonderful. Being on a rope in a tree allows you to get to different places in the tree that you couldn't get to without a rope, and really enjoy being up there. There's a technique you need to learn, and we'll teach you that, but I'm sure you'll have no trouble.
Marvellous. So I'll get strapped up, I guess.
Let's get your gear on and go for it.
Whether you're 5 or 85, I'm told if you're in good health, you can climb. So I have high hopes of getting to the top of this tree to meet Jo. The idea of tree climbing as a sport is to simulate the working conditions of arborists in the field, to learn new skills, and I guess to meet like-minded people.
So is tree climbing a passion or a job or a sport for you?
For me, it's probably more of a lifestyle. It's a job, it's a hobby, it's my social life. It's basically everything that I do is tree climbing and tree care.
So I imagine your love of trees has kind of taken you around the world.
Yeah, I find that probably one of the most exciting bits about it is going to different countries, climbing different trees that, don't grow the same here. There might be shrubs, there might be big trees, where else, depending on the climate. And the other side of it is basically making what I call a tree family, a lot of friends that you basically have the same, like-minded, you like the same things, and you can travel all around the world and meet up with people and have a great time.
I'm curious to know why people feel drawn to trees, to climb them, to worship them, to hug them even. And I'm meeting a lady whose spiritual life revolves around trees. In pagan culture, the oak is seen to be the door to the other world and known for instilling strength and courage to those in need. Jan has devoted her life to extracting tree essence for healing and health. I wonder what this mighty oak can do for me.
Jan, how important are trees to humans?
Oh, they are incredibly important. Just walking into a wood, our energy changes. Many people have a favourite tree that they want to walk to and know of that tree and sit with that tree. They are sentient beings. They have a heartbeat. And I listen to the heartbeat of a tree, and what it is that energy rushing up from deep below in the earth and going round and round and round. That's their heartbeat. And when you actually hear that, you get close to understanding that a tree is conscious. They want us to slow down. Because when we walk past a tree without recognising or actually acknowledging them, they see us as a shoot of light, and they would love us to calm down and to slow down, because what they're offering is an emotional healing. Actually, I've got something here for you.
Oh.
That I think might help you.
Oh, my goodness.
It's essences that I've made.
Thank you so much.
What we have here are oak tree and hawthorn blossom and maple blossom.
So what do I do?
2 different applications. This one is a spray that you spray around your emotional body. This is your energy body that we call it. And this one here is a pipette that you take internally or on your wrist points, and that then goes deep in, so that if you need to have some energy given to, your organs, that will help do that. So it's actually working on a physical level and an emotional level, and that's what the trees really like to do, is to give you a really comprehensive cover, if you like.
As Jan tells me, setting in essence is purely Boy Scout stuff. A jam jar, a crystal, local spring water, and a piece of string. She also tells me she has a dream to set an essence in the canopy of the powerful oak like this one. A dream that I'm glad to say Paul is able to make a reality. And so, good deed done. It's back to boot camp with my little bottle of oak essence. This tree has been standing a lot longer than I have. Who knows what its capabilities are? Day 2 and and it's time to get some adrenaline into our aching muscles and some sea air into our lungs.
Well, it's 7 a.m. and we're already down on the beach for the first activity, beach games. We're a bit tired, a bit achy, but I think we're all hoping that the sea air will bring us some energy. We've had no breakfast, so we're doing this on an empty stomach. So despite no talk of weight management, I'm hoping I might lose a few pounds. And I may not have any sustenance in my belly, but I've given myself a generous spray of tree essence, so I should be fine.
We're going to do a lot of lifting and carrying. We're going to do a big technical session on that, and then we're going to apply some of those moves on the beach combo that Paul's going to design for you.
Fun and play is crucial to our mental and physical well-being. It affects the way we think, we move, and so much more. In fact, all mammals play, and as the boys remind us, we are mammals.
Play in humans has been shown to produce a hormone known as oxytocin. Oxytocin is also known as a human trust hormone. It's most prevalently produced in lactating mothers and babies. What it does is you almost go into a little contract that you're not going to hurt each other, that everything's okay.
So at the last second, I want you to draw your hands up. I really, really trust you guys.
And it's not long till we're putting that trust to the test.
That's one of the most rewarding things. You get these sort of wow, eureka moments out of people when they realise just how much they're capable of and actually just how enjoyable it was.
See, who needs dumbbells when you have rocks?
Yeah, the rocks. We were lifting huge rocks, and I just looked at the rock. There's no way I'm going to lift this rock. No way. And yes, I ended up lifting the rock over my head.
We tend to exercise in such a homogenised environment these days, but this is so much more fun and more natural. We've been carrying these heavy rocks for over an hour. There's an element of risk involved, of course there is, but a little bit of knowledge goes a long, long way, because none of this whole group have hurt themselves at all.
Once again, we genuinely feel wild out here, battling the elements, embracing the weather, and feeling those endorphins kick in to help us raise our game when we start flagging.
Good work. Good work, ladies. Sprint finish, strong, strong.
Finally, we put faith in our tiring muscles and bench press these natural dumbbells over our heads.
We'll convene. See?
It might be freezing, but it's just what our muscles need. And within a few seconds, the cold is forgotten.
It's fantastic, really refreshing. After a good combo on the beach, it's great to be able to dive into the surf and chill out really. So yeah, it's nice and cold.
That wasn't too bad. It was nice. As they say, it's lovely when you're in.
Nice when you're out.
Everyone's exhausted but euphoric, and the steps are a challenge to say the least. Time to head back to North Court for some well-earned breakfast. We're eating pancakes made from ground almonds, grated apple granola, and iced blueberry smoothie. No doubt, food like this takes a lot of preparation.
You open your fridge and all you've got is, half a pint of milk and a bottle of vodka. Yeah, you're not going to be able to create this, are you?
You've been to my house.
Well, everyone's a bit wiped out in there, as indeed am I after this morning, but I seem to have roped myself into yet more outdoor activity. However, I've been promised tea and plenty of cake afterwards, and I plan on making the most of it.
I've been invited to join a group of women who are all keen sea swimmers. Don't be deceived by the stripy umbrellas and picnic baskets. Rebecca, Mobe, Susanna, Trisha, and Fiona are as hardy as it gets and totally unfazed by the rain. I have the ultimate respect for wild swimmers, especially in this country when the temperature of the water is at best very cold, at worst absolutely freezing. Regular swimming in cold water is said to improve the immune system, help depression, circulation, metabolism, and even enhance the libido. So natural highs all around here. In fact, natural highs are exactly what I'm feeling on this week in the Isle of Wight. A combination of good company, good food, fresh air, and in this case, extremely cold water is bringing out the natural endorphins in me.
They are one hardy group of women. And I'm an idiot, because I think I may have just signed myself up to swim the Solent on Sunday. 1.4 miles from the mainland back to the island. And this time I'm wearing a wetsuit. Are there men allowed in this group? Of course.
But I haven't persuaded anybody, so...
We're open to offer.
I don't think men float as well as women.
Do they not?
We're just a good group of friends and we love swimming together.
Right.
There's been a huge increase in it in the last few years, hasn't there? And now with the great swims, etc., it's brought it to a lot more people. And it's a great exercise as well, but I think with the wild swim, the way we do it, it's very therapeutic as well, isn't it?
It's the taking your clothes off in front of people, I think, which just kind of grounds everybody.
Yeah.
There's no airs, no graces, you're all just there for
Everybody's
swimming.
the same, yeah. There's, you know, you come together and that's it. The love of swimming. So.
You know, there's some days you just think, actually, I really don't want to do this, but as soon as you get it out there, it is fantastic. And then you come in and you're euphoric.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if it's raining, because you're wet already. And it's fun to watch people running for cover when you're out there in the raindrops.
I feel quite smug.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course afterwards, there's tea and cake.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, can we get onto the subject of the Solent swim?
Yay!
Oh, yes. Let's go.
Are you going to do it?
I'll do it.
Yay!
You mad woman.
Oh,
Well done.
Yeah.
It's going to be good in the Solent because you've got your buddy and yourself and your own dedicated kayaker. And I think it's really, if you're a team of three, and I think it's really important that you stay together.
It feels very safe. It's important to feel safe.
Will you be my buddy?
I'll be your buddy.
Meanwhile, back at base, not only am I taking a cheeky break from exercise, but I have a belly full of tea and cake. I'm off to meet Netta, who's been responsible for keeping most of us on the straight and narrow diet-wise, eating from our natural environment and benefiting from nutrient-rich wild food.
So you couldn't really get more local than in your own garden?
Not at all, and you can actually really taste it. It's so fresh.
This is the mint that we've been drinking in our tea.
Yeah, and actually let's pick some because we need some for the next batch. But smell that.
That is amazing.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
And we haven't had any caffeine.
No.
Any wheat.
No.
Any sugar.
No.
Any dairy.
The only dairy we have is the yogurt, and that's it.
Yeah. And yet we seem to have eaten incredibly well.
Yeah? How are you feeling?
Well, I feel fooled. I feel fooled. I've eaten, lavish meals, and yet apparently I've eaten, none of these things.
And you're not missing the coffee at all?
A little bit.
Yeah?
I've got a little headache, if truth be told. But at least I know that this process is working.
Yeah.
There is a kind of detox going on.
Sure. Well, let me take you to the next.
Netta tells me that as omnivores, we're one of the most adaptable species on the planet. In fact, there's a huge range of foods that we can eat and thrive on, as long as these foods are familiar to our bodies, having been in our diets from evolutionary timescales. However, that doesn't mean we have to eat like cavemen. The end of another day, and despite the dinner party atmosphere, I'm glad to hear that it's lights out at 10 p.m. Time to enjoy some of that all-important rest and recuperation. Early morning, and we start our day with a gentle loosener. My dining room has now become a boxing ring. This is our somewhat long and strenuous warm-up before the needles run. Short bursts of intense exercise help to stimulate the growth hormone we all need to repair and mend our bodies. And the Wild Fitness boosts ensure we get plenty of that.
My heart is not beating this fast, right? No, since I had a husband.
Good job, much
One final chance to knock 7 bells out of Gareth. And so to the Needles, probably the most beautiful and iconic part of the Isle of Wight, and the furthest west point of the island is the dramatic location for our longest run. For me, this is the activity I'm most nervous about. I'm not a natural runner, but I'm hoping these incredible views will keep me going.
So imagine if back in the day you wanted to get from A to B just a bit more quickly than walking. It's the kind of little trot you'd do. It's the hurry to work trot, okay? We nickname it the hunter-gatherer trot. After that, we'll do sets of 30-second efforts. So we're actually breaking into a proper run, like a fast run at that stage. And then, depending on how we feel, we might do 4 sets of 15-second all-out monster sprints. And then we'll go back to our little recovery trot. And depending on how everyone's looking, I might even put a walk in the middle to recover.
The Needles Run puts into practice everything we've learned about evolutionary fitness, in particular the importance of working as a team, using a combination of speeds from those hunter-gatherer trots to full-on sprints. We make our way along the coastline, a tribe, scouting for prey to take down. Well, in our heads at least. The scenery, the camaraderie, and possibly even the sense of relief that it's nearly all over keeps me going right up until the end.
Well, we've all had personal achievements on this course, and that run was mine. This has challenged us in so many different ways. I think we've discovered the incredible things we can do, and also the incredible things we can't do. And that our body is an amazing machine that we just don't challenge and don't respect. We've got into bad habits, negative thoughts, and this has kind of, I think, recalibrated us really into thinking like the human beings that we really should be.
And so it's over. But we take with us a heap of knowledge to help us live a little wilder in our own lives. As for me, I have one more challenge to go: the Solent Swim. I have 2 more days on the island till my rather epic wild swim, and I plan on making the most of them. First, though, I need some transport and also some accommodation. Sorted. This is Milo. He's nearly 40 years old, and whilst I'm not in the habit of humanizing inanimate objects, I think he's gonna be the perfect companion.
Well, this is all good fun. I've got the freedom to go where I like, to do what I like, to pull over and sleep where I like, within reason. And I feel like I've got to know the island fairly well over the last few days, but have the luxury of a little more time to meet yet more outdoor soul seekers.
My first stop is Freshwater Causeway, where I'm meeting Robin Harford, a modern-day forager. I'm keen to learn more about the hunter-gatherer principles and whether it's realistic to apply these to modern-day life. Robin believes that it is possible to supplement your diet with healthy, nutritious foraged food wherever you are.
So what is this? This is samphire.
This is samphire, yes, and traditionally picked in the longest day of the year, which is tomorrow, for the most succulent, because as the plant develops, it gets a woody pith, and you can see there's a little bit of a pith there,
Yeah.
but that's actually going to still be really edible.
Yeah. This is kind of a delicacy at the moment, isn't it, samphire?
Yeah, it's one of those plants that's been around a lot, and if you go to, if you still have a fishmonger, which many places don't, you'll find it often there. Some of the supermarkets on their fish counters sell it as well.
It's abundant, isn't it? We've walked a couple of feet and, you know, here it is growing prolifically.
Food is everywhere. I mean, I have feedback all the time from people when they come out with walks with me that their eyes are open to realise just how much food there is.
So it's kind of important not to deplete the supply, I guess.
Very much. The kind of foraging tradition I come from is very much one where I'm just one species within this planet. If we look at ancient China, the way they worked was they would sit with land and they'd be centred with it and observe it. Because, you know, other species have been around here longer than humans have. And so they would incorporate what they observed and created one of the greatest civilizations we've known when we were running around in bearskins. So, you know, sitting with land is not some flaky idea. Inspiration comes to us in the most strangest of places and often comes in very quiet moments. Okay, Joe. Any more food, do you reckon?
Next on our shopping list is siesta, one of 4 foraged ingredients that will make up our lunch. Again, this is starting to be seen as a delicacy, and yet here, it is growing wild.
So hunter-gatherers actually fairly sophisticated in their tastes and their lifestyle.
There's a lot of mythology about hunter-gatherers. A lot of that kind of noble savage came from the kind of Victorian era when the anthropologists were sat in their little kind of boardrooms and their, you know, gentlemen's clubs talking about, you know, people in the jungles. Fortunately, we've moved on and we've gone and lived with people in the jungles, and actually they come from a very different mind state to the Western view, which is one of abundance. Not in some kind of new agey way, but purely that the land provides. And anyone with an eye who opens their eyes up and gets to know land and their place and soil knows that nature just gives and gives and gives. You cannot avoid it. Yeah. Like a number 7 bus, you know, there's always one along again if you miss the first one. This is what foraging is about for me. Yes, of course it's about the food and feeding myself, but it's actually about getting a better sense of my place within land, whereas before I didn't know that. Yeah, very much. I mean, I love it.
I love Robin's approach to foraging. Whilst he's obviously passionate about it, he makes it seem sensible and almost mainstream. Suddenly, things I would never dream of eating start to look like food. Just one more ingredient, and it's time to eat.
And the majority of this soup is foraged.
Absolutely. There's 2 ingredients that aren't, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the soup base and a bit of spice.
Yeah. Can we put them in?
Yeah, sure.
Never mind about food miles. We've literally taken food steps here for this meal. Made from siesta, samphire, sea lettuce, and something else. All foraged, of course.
I like that. A lot, actually. It feels just like it's instantly delivered.
Yeah, it's just absorption of serious nutrition.
Yeah. So you must feel incredibly grounded in nature.
I feel embedded in it, in being part of nature, grounded in the sense that I'm eating food that we haven't eaten for 10,000 years, that's genetically hardwired to give us the optimum health and well-being, both mentally and physically, because food doesn't just feed our bodies and bones, it feeds our mind.
Does that extend to emotional well-being?
I don't think there's anything more emotionally healing than the land. I've seen miracles with people who were really damaged go to land. Just work land, either stuff with hands, and their lives change because we don't have to do anything. This is the beauty of it. We sit with it, and providing we're centered with it and are observant of it, it will affect us, it will enter into our being, and it will change us. There is no doubt about that. You cannot say it won't, because it will. There's too many people who go to land, who have been damaged, who sit with land, who heal themselves and return to the world. It's very, very powerful and deep and subtle.
of Wight is often referred to as the last pagan place in England, and the White Druids are the only pagan group that offer open rites to the public. Their sacred site is the Long Stone on the downs near the village of Nottingstone, believed to have been a meeting place in Saxon times. Today is a major event in the Druid calendar, the summer solstice, and Jan has invited me to join the celebrations.
By star and stone, by the power of the land within and without, by all that is fair and free, Croyville, welcome to the rite and celebration of Auburn Heaven, the summer solstice. We welcome the Sun Father, who with our Earth Mother brings us the sacred gift of life. Deep within the still centre of my being, may I find peace. Silently within the quiet of the grove, may I share peace.
I call upon the spirits of the east and of air. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
I call upon the spirits of the south and of fire. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
Hail Manannan MacLear, keeper of the mist, ruler of Tir Nan No, and keeper of the well of wisdom. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Lord Manannan, we commend to your sacred care our dear friend Jo. May your blessing and protection go with her as she tackles the sometimes fickle waters of the Solent. Bear her on with favourable winds and deliver her from harm on the waters. Blessed be her path through your waves to arrive safe and well on your far shore, and hopefully not too exhausting.
Curiously, as Morris asks the water god for his blessing, the heavens open and we get soaked. But here at the Longstone, on this auspicious day, the rain seems positively embraced. In the words of my Druid companions, Manannan MacLear must be listening. What other way does the water god have to bless you than with water? And what better way to thank him than through song?
My heart is like a singing bird whose home is on a watered shoot. My heart is like an apple tree whose boughs are bent with quickset fruit. My heart is like a rainbow shell that paddles in a halcyon sea. My heart is gladder than all these because my love has come to me.
I've spent a lot of time outdoors over the last few days, in all weathers, embracing whatever's thrown at me and genuinely feeling an attachment to the landscape around me. However, my connection to the great outdoors is nothing compared to that of the Druids, who are happily drinking tea in the rain at the moment. They're the ultimate outdoor soul seekers.
Because my love has come to me.
That was a great experience, and the perfect way to take my mind off my imminent swim tomorrow. I hope the Druid blessing will go some way to overcoming the fact that I have not trained at all, and so I'm sending out as many good vibes as possible. I'm meeting Eva Wolfram, a landscape artist and healer, who's invited me to join her to put the final touches to her prayer flag installation. Written on these 250 prayer flags are the wishes, hopes, and dreams of the local community, and she's kindly saved the last prayer flag for me.
I think there's something quite significant about putting your innermost feelings and hopes and dreams onto a flag like this, which is then going to fly in the wind for everyone to see. I have to think quite hard, wish for the right things. Not a particularly profound wish, but incredibly apt. Was it a conscious decision to put these flags on such an epic landscape?
Yes, definitely. Because the idea of the project is to amplify the landscape, to open people's eyes towards this landscape, as well as, you know, for them to bring out their wishes and make them public and let them fly.
Do you feel a very strong personal bond to nature?
I grew up in nature in Bavaria, and I've always been drawn to places that have strong nature. That's why I came to the island.
And do you think you can find solace in a beautiful landscape?
Yeah, and energy, you know, you can really energize yourself by grounding yourself, by really just being out there, being out, getting out in nature. And of course, it's also a really humbling experience because nature is bigger than we are.
And do you get a sense of something higher?
Yes, I always have a sense of something higher.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm lucky in that way.
From here, I can see the headland. And that is where I shall be swimming tomorrow.
Right over there. Yes. Good luck to you.
Yes, I feel I need it. I think this is a very significant place to stop as the last point in my journey before my swim.
I think you have made your wish, so
I think I may have made one of them for certain.
Yeah, good luck.
It's 6 a.m. and a group of 70 swimmers are gathered at Yarmouth Harbour. This is not a race, but a community swim in aid of the local charity-funded sports centre on the island. For many of us, this is the longest open water swim we've done. Much excitement and a little confusion.
Good morning. Raring to go. The problem is I can't actually concentrate.
No, I know. I've looked at this 3 times and you still ask me and I still couldn't remember.
We're all in a bit of a tiz. We're kind of a mixture between incredibly excited and incredibly nervous. We don't seem to be making any sense.
And I'm not the only one for whom the stakes are high. This swim is a big deal to everyone.
Your family are over from
the United States,
Portland,
Portland, Oregon.
And Becky's husband's over from Switzerland.
Yes, exactly.
And my little boy is here. All hoping that we succeed and don't let them down.
We'll succeed. We'll succeed.
Sea temperature at the moment is 15.8 degrees coming across. To the west of the Perth, it's a little bit rough. It's imperative that you maintain a line with the kayaks.
With my swim partner, Rebecca, we head over to the mainland at Hurst Point, where the swim begins.
There's not really any going back now, is there?
No, but do we want to go back?
Not really.
This is it. And you can see the castle now, and it's not that far. And once you get into the water, it's just going to be, it'll be lovely, really will.
Yeah.
I mean, I've swum since I was a child. We used to swim in the pits in the fields. I've always had a bit of a thing with water going on. But as I say, the sea, because I'm new to swimming in the sea, this is quite a good challenge for me.
If you haven't done this swim before, you don't really know what it's going to be like.
No.
You also don't know what you're going to feel like when you are midway between land, and there's only one way to get to land, which is to keep swimming.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Nearing the mainland, the unsung heroes of this solemn swim come into view. Our kayakers, dotted colorfully along the shoreline. Suddenly, the reality of the swim hits home.
We're lost for words.
We've been told that due to the tides, we must take a very specific course across the Solent. Our kayakers are responsible for guiding us safely through the currents and also come to our rescue if needs be. But before I have much time to get nervous about that, I'm in. Having never swum in a wetsuit before, let alone with gloves and boots on, I feel clumsy and slow and genuinely wonder if I'll make it across. Meanwhile, Rebecca, wearing only her swimming costume, seems totally at home. Eventually, I find my stride and the swim becomes enjoyable.
I think I might be halfway there. Come on.
And so, en masse, we forge forward, knowing the end is in sight.
I can hear the crowd cheering. And it's a tremendous sense of achievement. See you on the shore. Well, we made it. We swam the Sonia. We did. We drank half the water. We did. But we did it. We did, yeah. So that's it. Now it's time to celebrate. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Come here. Well, I feel like I've got to know this island in a very hands-on way this week. I've climbed its trees, I've run around its headlands, I've worshipped its stones, and I've foraged its shoreline. And now I've swum to it as well. And if there's one word that sums up how I feel right now, it's alive.